Hello everyone, welcome to IAS Baba's 60 days rapid revision series for Prelims 2022. This is day 8 and again we are taking up geography, and in today's class we take up the Indian physical features and discuss. Friends, whenever the Indian geography is asked by UPSC, so it clubs geography with any other topic. Say for example art and culture, ecology, so likewise. So Bharatpur, it is present on which mountain range? Or might be the Ajanta Ellora or the Triambakeshwar Omkareshwar. They are present in the banks of which rivers? So such questions are being asked repeatedly. So we make sure that on those lines, by clubbing the physical and the political map of India, we will study. So we discuss with the revision of Himalayas at the first. So coming to Kashmir Himalayas. So in the yesterday's class we talked about the Pamir Knot, and here we have the Karakoram range, then the Ladakh range, Zaskar range, Greater Himalayas and Pir Panjal. So we remember this one, the Karakoram, Ladakh, Zaskar, Greater Himalayas and the Pir Panjal. So KLZGP. So this, if you remember, so we can arrange them from north to south if the question is asked in the exam. So apart from that, here we have the Zaskar Valley and the Ladakh Valley, and there the Zaskar River, Nubra River, Shayok River. So all these, the tributaries of Indus, they flow. So that also we have to remember. Then coming to next, so how we arrange all these from north to south. So first comes the Trans Himalayas, and then comes the Inner Himalayas, okay, that is the Greater Himalayas or Himadri, and then the Lesser Himalayas, that is the Himachal, and then comes the Shivalik. So Trans Himalayas, then Himadri, and then Himachal, and then Shivalik. Okay, so T, HD, HC and S. So if you remember that, we can also arrange them from north to south. And then coming to next, the Trans Himalayas, the Himalayan ranges immediately north of the Greater Himalayan range. So also called as the Tibetan Himalayas because of it lies in Tibet. And then the Great Himalayas, also known as Inner Himalaya or the Central Himalaya or Himadri, the HD one. The average elevation is 6,000 meter above sea level and an average width is 25 kilometer. Then the middle or the Lesser Himalayas, so in between Shivaliks in the south and Greater Himalayas in the north, and then comes the Shivaliks. So the Shivaliks are known by the different names in different areas. So these are the southernmost ones. In Jammu they are called the Jammu Hills. So this is much below the Pir Panjal also. So Karakoram, Ladakh, Zaskar, Greater Himalayas, Pir Panjal, before and below them the Jammu Hills. Then in the northeast we have Dafla Hills, Miri Hills, Abor and Mishmi Hills. So they come under Arunachal Pradesh. And then the Dhang range and then Dundwa range. So these are present in Uttarakhand. So remember the Dhang range and Dundwa range. So these are in the Shivaliks. And then Churia Ghat Hills. So in Nepal. So we have to remember this one because it is in India and it is not that famous also. Then come to next, middle or the Lesser Himalayas. So here the Pir Panjal range. So this falls under the middle Himalayas in Jammu and Kashmir, and then Dauladhar range of Himachal Pradesh, and then Masuri range and Naktibar range of Uttarakhand, and Mahabharat Lake of Nepal. So all these are the Lesser Himalayas or the Himachal. And then here in the northeast, so we have to make sure that we will arrange the mountain ranges from north to south if they are given. So Mishmi northmost, and then Dafla, and then Patkai Bump, and then the Mikir and Naga Hills, and then the Garo, Kasi and Jaintia and Barail range, and then comes the Mizo Hills. So friends, here the mountain range is also collected to the tribes that are living there. So that are like Mishmi tribes. They are located in the Mishmi Hill ranges. So likewise, we will link and remember. Then coming to next, the Peninsular Plateau. So here also in Peninsular, many questions have come. So we have a brief discussion. So Chota Nagpur Plateau. So rivers like Damodar, then the Subarnareka, North Koyal, South Koyal and Barkar. So they have developed extensive drainage basin. So all these rivers, they flow in the Chota Nagpur Plateau. So here we have this Chota Nagpur. So around this, so all these rivers, they will flow. And then Meghalaya Plateau somewhere lies in Meghalaya, that is the Garo, Kasi and Jaintia Hill regions. And then we have the Deccan Plateau. Okay, so Deccan Plateau is like they are bounded by Satpura and Vindhya range, and then Mahadev and Maikala ranges. So here we can see the Satpura range and the Vindhya range, and then the Mahadev hills. Okay, so Maikala hills, they come somewhere here itself. Okay, so all these we will remember. And then come to next, say for example friends, here again make sure that where this Satpura range flows. So Satpura range flows somewhere in the border of Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra. Okay, and then the Mahadev hills, so that extends into Madhya Pradesh. So likewise you will link the political and physical map. So Chota Nagpur Plateau, so that lies somewhere in the West Bengal Jharkhand region. So likewise, if you remember, so that will be helpful to answer some of the prelims questions. And then come to next, Maharashtra Plateau. So the broad and shallow valley of Godavari, Bhima and Krishna are flanked. So here Maharashtrian Plateau, so all these they come under here. So here we can see Bhima, Krishna river, Godavari river and all those. And also the Karnataka Plateau, but obvious the Karnataka state, so that encompasses these, the Mullangiri, then Baba Budan hills in Chikmagalur and others. So friends, here the Baba Budangiri, Mullangiri, so all these, so they are present somewhere here and they are rich in iron ores. So Bhadravati Steel Factory, it takes iron ore from this region. And then we have Telangana Plateau, the Godavari, Krishna and Penneru. So Penneru, Palar, Vaigai, so all these rivers, so these are the east flowing rivers, and here the Penneru and other rivers they flow. So somewhere here it comes, okay. And then the Chhattisgarh plain, so it is a saucer shaped depression drained by the upper Mahanadi. So Chhattisgarh plain, so here between all those plateaus, so here we have a plain region, so that is why it is called Chhattisgarh plain. And then the whole basin lies between Michael range and Odisha hills. So between Michael range and the Odisha hills, so here lies the basin of the Chhattisgarh plain. And then come to next, the Indo-Gangetic plains. So here we have various categorizations, that is Babar, it is a narrow porous northernmost stretch of the Indo-Gangetic plain. And then Terai, it is an ill-drained, damp and thickly forested narrow tract of South Babar. So then comes the plains where alluvium is located, and there we have two types of alluvium, that is the Bangar, it is the old alluvium, and here it gives a salt depositions called the Kankar, and we have Kadar, which is the new alluvium. So going through the geography, we will get these types of figures. Say for example, once we get down Himalayas, so large boulders will be there, and that will give rise to the small stones like this. And whenever river water enters here, but obvious they will disappear in this region, and here they start reappearing. So it is like Babar, this one is Babar and this one is Terai, where the river starts reappearing. And then we have the Kadar and Bangar. So Bangar is the old alluvium which is present away from the river, and Kadar is the new alluvium. So that is present very nearer to the banks of river, and they get rejuvenated and they get replenished every year. So these are some of the features of the Gangetic plain. And then we have Thar Desert. So Thar Desert, like the Bagar, Bagar refers to semi-desert area which is to the west of Aravallis. So Bagar means it is semi-desert. Okay, so the desert hasn't come. So if we move westwards, so desert starts coming. It is drained by Luni, and in the south, whereas in the north, the section it has been drained by number of salt lakes. So for example, say the Sambar lake, then the Kuchmana, then Didwana, so all these, the Katu, so all these salt lakes, so these are present in this region. Then the Babar region has many short seasonal streams which originate from Aravallis, and these streams support agriculture in some fertile patches called Rohi. So what is this Rohi? So these are the agricultural lands in this semi-arid region, so very next to Aravallis. And Luni originates in Pushkar Valley of the Aravalli range near Ajmer and flows towards the southwest into Run of Kutch, and it doesn't flow into the ocean, so it will disappear inside the sands. So that is why it is called ephemeral river. Then the region north of Luni is known as Tali or the sandy plain. So very north of Luni, the sandy plain we will get. Then there are some streams which disappear and they join some of the lakes like the Sambar lake, or that is also called the Playa basin. Playa basin means the salt lakes. So friends, here what are the things we need to remember when we discuss the Thar Desert? So first is that we remember the Bagar. Bagar means the semi-arid region, and then the ephemeral rivers like the Luni, and then the Rohi, the agricultural lands where the rivers draining from Aravalli, so they will irrigate that region. And then the Tali or the sandy plain, so very next to Aravallis. Okay, so we have the Tali or the sandy plain, and some of the Playa basins are the Sambar lakes, like lakes, salt lakes. So all these, so keywords we remember here. And then some of the salt lakes we'll study. Say for example, this Shakambari Jheel. So this is also called as the Sambar lake. Okay, and very next to it we have the Kuchaman, then Didwana, then Katu. So all these they have come in 2021 prelims. So if we had worked on these lines, like if we search a lake on the Google map and if we search the nearby areas. So, but obviously we will be having the great hit rates. Just by seeing this and moving forward will not work. So, make sure that whenever you do the map work, so you take a pic of this and mark the nearby areas and study accordingly. Then come to next, the coastal plains and the ghats. So, here we have the coastal plains. So, the Kutch plain, then the Kathiawar plain, okay, and then the Gujarat plains, then the Konkan and Malabar coasts, then Coromandel coasts, and then the northern Sarkars and Utkal plains. So, here, so all these have their own distinct features. Say, for example, Kutch and Kathiawar region. So, they are the arid regions. So, there the salt preparation is huge. And then coming to the Konkan. So, here the Western Ghats that starts, and Western Ghats it forms various passes here. Though Palghat Pass, Borghat Pass. So, all these passes they come here. And after that the Western Ghats reaches to some height when it reaches Karnataka and Kerala, and in Kerala it reaches the maximum height. So, Annamalai Hills, Doddabetta, so all those peaks of Western Ghats, so they are present in these. And here the coast, this coast is submergent in nature, that is the ocean is submerging this, ocean is corroding this and it is submerging. That is why here we have estuaries and the waterfalls and cliffs. So, remember estuaries, waterfalls and the cliffs. So, all these are the indications of the submergent coast. So, we don't get these in the emergent coasts. Okay. So, these are some of the features of the western coast. And coming to the eastern coast. So, here the rivers they deposit more and more, and most of the deltas are being formed here. So, here we have Ganga Brahmaputra delta, and then we get the Brahmani, Baitarani, Subarnareka, Vamshadhara, then Kaveri, Paleru, Krishna, Godavari, Panner, Palar, Vaigai. So, all these rivers they form deltas here, and here it is like the land is growing because of sedimentation and the sea is going down. So, that is why this is an emergent coast. The land is emerging out of this ocean, and here it is like most of the deltas and the lagoons are being formed. So, Chilika Lake, Pulicat Lake, so all these are being formed here. Friends, but obvious the lagoons are also found in here also, like the Vembanad Lake and others, and here it is formed mainly because some of the rivers they also flow here, and like they also deposit some sands. But here there is no so much of sand deposition as we have in the eastern coast. So, although the lakes are present, but lakes are deeper in nature. So, they don't have the sand depositions and they are not that shallow. Okay. So, these are some of the features of the coastal, and we take up some of the facts. That is the Chilika Lake and the Pulicat Lake. So, they are present in the eastern coasts. Then the Coromandel coast and the Payan Ghat. So, in the Coromandel coast we have the Payan Ghats. So, Ghats means in North India it is like the place where we bury or we burn the dead people. Okay. So, in South India Ghats means it is nothing but the hill ranges. So, if you say the Ghat sections means in South India it is like we are having a topsy-turvy curved path to reach the mountain tops. Okay. And then we have the Vembanad Lake that we know, then Kutch and Kathiawar region and the salt preparation there, and then we have Mandav Hills and Girnar Hills in the same region, Gujarat region, and then Narmada, Tapi, Mahi and Sabarmati. So, these are the rivers that are flowing in this region. So, it is like Sabarmati, then Mahi, Narmada and Tapi. So, Sabarmati, Mahi, Narmada and Tapi, Samanata. So, you can remember Samanata and revise. And then the Sharavati, Gerusappa Falls. So, they flow somewhere here near Karnataka. Okay. So, Gerusappa Falls, the steepest falls. So, that flows on the river Sharavati. And then the northern Sarkars. Northern Sarkar is nothing but the Odisha coastal plains. So, northern Sarkars, they are rich in aluminium and they are also rich in various other minerals. So, northern Sarkars, they are rich for mineral exploration. And then we have the Pulicat Lake and the Sriharikota Island. So, somewhere in the coast of Andhra Pradesh, Sriharikota is present, and here we take up various satellite launches. So, all these are some of the informations. So, we will revise likewise. And then we have the Assam Mizoram border disputes. So, in the early of the 2022 and in the 2021 here, so we saw a worst fighting near the Assam Mizoram border. So, here I have taken up that one. So, the dispute, how it stemmed, that is the first notification of British in 1875. So, that differentiated Lusha Hills from the plains of Kachar. The second notification in 1933, so that demarcates a boundary between Lusha Hills and Manipur. So, friends, here it is like Lusha Hills means Mizoram. Lusha Hills comes somewhere here. So, Lusha Hills, so that itself is given the name Mizoram. So, whenever the border is drawn like this, so here we have the Kachar plain, that which is marked in the red, it is the Kachar plain. So, here this border, So this border, whether it should cover the Kachar plain or whether it should not cover the Kachar plain. So that is the issue. Okay, so Mizoram people say that Kachar plain belongs to us. Assam says no, Kachar doesn't belong to you. So the border here is justified, but the Mizo people say that border should be like this. Okay, so this is how the dispute is going on, and here each of them by claiming their own and they contemplate their own law. Say for example, Mizoram claims that the land, so that Kachar plain and others, they belong to them as per the 1875 notification and the Bengal Eastern Frontier Regulation Act. And Assam on its part, it says that no, it belongs to us, and that is as per 1933 notification. So here whatever it might be. So here for us, the prelims perspective is that the Lushai Hills is in Mizoram and then the Kachar plains, so that is in Assam. So here the border goes and they are fighting for this region, that is the border between the Kachar plains and the Lushai Hills. So Mizoramis say Kachar plains, so that should come to the Mizoram. So these are some of the things. And then the Galwan Valley. So Galwan Valley controversy was there 1 or 2 years back, and that is why it becomes important. So here the Galwan river and the Galwan Valley, so we can see, and very next to it the Nubra river flows, and here also the Shayok river also flows very nearby. And here we have the Pongong So lake. So this is the Pongong So lake. So Pongong So and Somoriri lake, the two salt lakes of India, so they also lie, and here we can see the Indo-China border that is going on. Okay, so these are some of the facts we have to remember in Galwan Valley. Then cratons of India. Friends, craton means it is like here the oldest rocks. So here we have so many old rocks in India, and those rock systems are called cratons. Say for example the Archean rock. So Archean rock means which is present in the Archean age. So here we have the Archean gneiss, that is the Dharwad system. So whichever is present in the North Karnataka in the Hubli Dharwad region. So that is the Dharwad system of rocks. So they are present in Archean. So you can remember like the Darak. And then we have the Purana rock system. So they are present in the Cambrian times. So those are present in Kadapa, Rayalaseema. So these are in Telangana, Andhra Pradesh region. And also in the Vindhyan system, we have this same, the Cambrian rock. So Kadapa and Cambrian we can remember, or we can also remember Chavi. So Cambrian and Vindhyan. And then we have the Dravidian rock system. So in the Dravidian rock system means, so throughout the Karnataka's western borders, so Goa and some of the beaches of Goa, so they are also present in this region. And the Dravidian rock, the whole Deccan Plateau has most of this Dravidian system, and they are basically in the Carboniferous period. Okay, so that is one. And then we have the Aryan rock system. So Aryan rock system, they come in the Jurassic times, and here we have the Gondwana system, that is the Deccan Trap. Okay, so whatever we have in the Maharashtra region, the Deccan Trap, the Regur soil, so all these, they come under these. So whenever we speak about the cratons, so here we have the Archean, that is the Dharwad, and then the Purana or the Cambrian, that is the Kadapa and Vindhyan, and then the Dravidian and the Aryan. So Dravidian and Aryan are not so historic, but the Archean and Cambrian, so they will be the historic ones. So here remember some of these cratons. And then Central Highlands. So apart from the Deccan Plates and Himalayas, we also have the Central Highlands, that is the Chambal plains, and then the Bundelkhand region, Baghelkhand region, then Kaimur Hills, then Hazaribagh Plateau. So all these are the Central Highlands, and these are the semi-arid islands, and they are the bad lands, that is no agriculture can be grown there. So whenever we remember the Central Highlands, so the Chambal ravines, so that comes into picture. And whenever you remember Chambal ravines, also go to the movie The Pansing Tomar. So that was shot in Chambal. So we will see how the agriculture is not that good there, and how people, they resort to robbery and others because of the lack of education and employment. And here the Baghelkhand, so it is bound by the Sone river on the north and in the south, but obvious it will be by Mahanadi and the Ramgarh Hills. And then the Marwar Plateau or the Mewar Plateau, so Marwar and Mewar, so Rajputana, that also comes here, the Malwa, Marwar, Mewar, so that also comes under the Central Island. So here the Chambal and Banas rivers, so these drain the Marwar and Mewar Plateau. And then we have the Kali Sindh, and that is flowing from Rana Pratap Sagar, and then the Banas river, then Parwan river, Parbati river, so all these. So in this map I don't have the Parwan and the Parbati river, so make sure that so you will locate them. So Parbati is present, Parwan is not present. Chambal and Banas, you can see here. So these, they form the tributary of Yamuna, and Yamuna joins Ganga in Prayagraj or Allahabad. So these are some of the things. And then the Bundelkhand upland. So here the streams like Betwa, Dasan and Ken flow. So the Ken Betwa linkage, so they come somewhere around this region. Okay. So the Ken Betwa, the first inter river linking project. So that also we remember. And then the Malwa Plateau. So here the Narmada, Tapi and Mahi. So here somewhere in this region, the Malwa Plateau. So Malwa, Mewars, Marwars. So all those we remember in this slide. Then come to next, the coastal regulation zones. Friends, whenever we speak about the coast, so here we have the high seas. Okay. So high seas, that is beyond the national jurisdiction. So here whoever can come and go, so nation has nothing to do with that. But here we have the exclusive economic zone. Exclusive economic zone means in this area the mineral exploration, fishing, all those, they're exclusively for the territory. So it is exclusive for India, around India's borders. And then we have the territorial sea. So here it is the border jurisdiction. If anyone crosses this, they have to treat that they have entered India. Okay. So if any terrorist or anybody enters, so they can be shot down in this region. Okay. And then we have the territorial sea and comes the land mass. Okay. So when this is the demarcation, that is first comes the territorial sea and then the exclusive economic zones and then the high sea or the deep sea. So this extends in all international waters. So here we have some of the coastal regulation zones. That is the first type of coastal regulation zone. Those are the areas that are ecologically sensitive, and here only the exploration and extraction of salt is permitted, nothing else is permitted. So these are some of the ecologically fragile and pristine beaches. Okay. And then the coastal regulation zone 2. So these are the areas that are developed to the shoreline of the coast, and here it is like some construction. So as per the guidelines, they are being permitted. So here some human settlement are there, and that's why construction is permitted. Friends, all these coastal regulation zones, so those are being set up by the National Policy for Coastal Management, and they have been demarcated various coasts so that development and ecological conservation, that will go hand in hand. Okay. So we have the third, CRZ 3. So here urban and rural areas that don't fall under CRZ 1 and 2, they come under CRZs. So here which have more population in urban and rural areas, they are formed here, and here certain activities like agriculture, horticulture, gardening, then pastures, residence, building construction, all these, so they are being allowed. And here the construction of only public facilities, okay, so which are very basic necessities and public buildings and all these. So here nothing like factories, industries, so all these are not allowed, profit motive ones. And then the CRZ 4, the coastal stretches in Andaman and Nicobar Islands and Lakshadweep and small islands. So here the corals and sand from the beaches and coastal waters shall not be used for construction and other purposes. So here the corals and sands shall not be used. Apart from that, the construction can go on in the CRZ 4. So CRZ 4, that falls under the Andaman, Nicobar and Lakshadweep Islands. So just have a brief look at of all these, because if the question comes, so till now on CRZ no question has come, and till now even on the exclusive economic zone also the questions haven't come. So make sure that you will remember, and along with that you will also remember, so what is a continental shelf and what is a continental slope and what is a continental rise and what is an abyssal plain here. Okay. So that is linking the political map and the geographical map. So study likewise. And then come to next, the Kalapani. So India and Nepal, they have a dispute here. So Kalapani is a valley that is administered by India as a part of the Pithoragarh district of Uttarakhand, and it is situated on the Kailash Manas Sarovar route. So we remember this Kailash Manas Sarovar route. Then the Kali river in the Kalapani region demarcates the border between India and Nepal, and Treaty of Sagoli 1816 located the Kali river as the Nepal's western boundary with India. But here the thing is that although, so here we can see the Indo-Nepal border, and here we can see the Sarda Nadi or Kali Nadi flowing. So Kalapani is like it flows from here. So now when we have the river, then India says that the lake is also belongs to us, but Nepal says, so although the river is the border, but this lake is well within the Nepal's territory. So whatever the politics might be, so here we have to remember the geographical map, that is the Kailash Manasarovar lake and the Kali river and the Treaty of Sagoli for the historical perspective. Then Gulf Run Straits. So strait is a narrow passageway of water, and here we can see the narrow passageway of water, and the Strait of Gibraltar, Strait of Bosphorus. So all these are some of the straits. And then the Gulf is a large water body, sometimes with a narrow mouth. So here we can see the large water body, and here we will be having a narrow mouth. So Gulf of California, Gulf of Aden. So all these. So friends, for us, the concept is not which is important for prelims, but the map work. So here we have the important gulfs and straits. So some of the straits like Panama Canal, and then the Danish Strait. So here we can see the opening between the Scandinavia and the outer sea, and here we have the Turkey. So between Black Sea and Mediterranean Sea. So here we have a opening, and here we have the Strait of Gibraltar. So between Mediterranean Sea and the Atlantic Ocean. So here we have the Bab al Mandab, and here we have the Strait of Hormuz. So don't confuse these two. And then here we have Strait of Malacca. So question will always be asked like which strait will separate the Bay of Bengal and the Malaysian Sea. So this Strait of Malacca will be the answer, or which strait will separate a Mediterranean Sea and the Black Sea. So Turkish Strait is the answer, or which strait will separate the Mediterranean Sea and Atlantic Ocean. So such questions have always come, so make sure that you will be thorough with that. And here also like the Tasmania, and then the Indo-Sri Lankan waters, so Park Strait, so all these Madagascar Strait. So all these we will remember as much as possible. So if we type important straits, so we get a list in Google, and if we locate them and learn, so that will be more than sufficient, and also give importance to those which are already in current affairs. Okay, then come to next, some of the gulfs. So gulfs, bays, seas, so all those they become important. So here we have n number of gulfs and seas. Okay, Chukchi Sea, Bering Sea, then Gulf of Alaska, very near to Alaska, and Beaufort Sea, then Hudson Bay, then Baffin Bay, then Labrador Sea. Okay, then Gulf of Lawrence, so Laurentian Current and others, Sargasso Sea. So all these whichever are related to NCRTs, so they also become important. Gulf of Mexico, so the largest gulf, and then the Caribbean Sea, and here we have the Gulf of Guinea, then the Bay of Biscay is here, Adriatic Sea, and then the Greenland Sea, then Gulf of Bothnia, so here very near to this Scandinavia, and we have the Baltic Sea here, very near to Baltic states, then the Barents Sea, Kara Sea, and then we have the Laptev Sea, then East Siberian Sea, very near to Siberia, then Sea of Okhotsk, very near to Kamchatka Peninsula, then Sea of Japan, that is between Asia and Japan, then East China Sea, South China Sea, so South China Sea is also very important, and then the Philippine Sea, very near to the Philippines, and then Yellow Sea. So all these we remember, and then the Arafura Sea, Coral Sea, very nearer to the Great Barrier Reef of Australia, and Tasmania Sea, very nearer to Tasmania. Tasmania is this one, that is Sri Lanka for Australia. Then the Timor Sea, then Flores Sea, then Java Sea, very near to Java, Sumatra and Malaya, then Bay of Bengal, Andaman Sea. Then here in the Middle East we have the Gulf of Aden, so very nearer to here, and then the Gulf of Oman, very near to Oman, and then Gulf of Persia, so here we have the Persian Gulf, and then Red Sea and Dead Sea. So these are here. Then Black Sea, Aral Sea, Caspian Sea. So remember this ACB. Okay, so these are some of the bays, seas, etc. So just a map work. Then come to next, Malda Fault and Katrol Hill Faults. So Malda Fault is present between the Meghalaya and the Eastern Plateau. Say for example, here we have Hazaribagh and the Chota Nagpur Plateau. So there was a continuation of these with the Meghalayan Plateau, but here they broke and a fissure occurred, and here some sedimentation occurred due to the deposition of the alluvium by the rivers, and here we can see the Malda, and this is the Malda Fault. So here a fault line, a jerk between or a break between two plateaus have occurred, and this has been covered now. So Malda Fault between the Meghalaya and the Chota Nagpur Plateau, and then we have the Katrol Hill Faults. So this is very complex, and it is a seismic zone, because here Suleiman Karta range they flow, that is when India hits with the Arabian plate. So all these are being formed. So in the midst of various seismic zones, so here somewhere the Katrol Hill Fault comes, and that is also a fault zone, that is the plate has been broken there and sediments have been filled up. So these are also the seismic zones. So again with the disaster management we have to remember. And then we have Andaman and Nicobar. Friends, we remember as many islands as possible in this Andaman and Nicobar. So as a overall, so here we have the South Andaman, North Andaman and Middle Andaman. And here some of the important islands. So like we have the Baratang Island here, Havelock Island here, Long Island here, okay, Maya Bandar, Ramnagar, Diglipur, so all these. So all these states and Port Blair, okay. So we remember Port Blair here, Neil Island is present here. So we remember all these, okay. And then coming to one more map, then Sirk Island is present here, okay. And then here the Andaman Islands and the Nicobar Islands. So remember these two and remember the channel which divides the Andaman and Nicobar Island. And moreover, remember Indra Point. So Indra Point will be the southernmost tip of India. So if you take the Indian subcontinent including Andaman and Nicobar Islands, so remember Indra Point and remember 10 degrees channel. And moreover, remember the North Andaman, Middle Andaman, Lower Andaman, then Little Andaman and Nicobar. In Nicobar also we have the Great Nicobar, Little Nicobar, and then Tarasa and Nankovi, etc. So here some of the tribes like Joraways, Onjays and Sentinels, okay, so all these they reside here. So again those also should be remembered, okay. So apart from that, the seas, say for example here we have the Bay of Bengal, and after Andaman comes, so this is called the Andaman Sea, and after that once we enter, so in this state of Malacca here we get the Gulf of Thailand, and that enters to South China Sea. So here in this area we had got many questions, so we make sure that this part we remember, okay. Then come to next, the Lakshadweep. So here also in Lakshadweep we have some of the island which are large enough, like the Amandivi Islands, then Lakadiv Islands and others, and some of the other large islands are the Chetlat, Kiltan, Bitra, Bangaram, Kadmat, then Amini, Androt, Agiti, Kavaratti and Kalpani and Minikoi. So these are some of the large islands, and these, the Lakshadweep Islands are coral in origin. So they are from the coral reefs, and here we have the Google Maps of all these. So they are present, and just try to remember like which is present in the northernmost and which is present in the southernmost, easternmost and westernmost, okay. So that if you remember, so that is more than sufficient. Then coming to the last part, friends. So again it is like whenever you read the map, whenever you read the national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, so all these that you will get that the saturation. So who will study all these things here? So never ever do that. So study with passion, study with happiness. So if you have that passion and hunger to study, so if you lose, you will gain experience, and if you win, you will get happiness. So both the ways you are gaining, nothing you are losing by putting your hard work. And as Prime Minister says, so hard work will give you satisfaction, it should never give you frustration. So if you are really passionate, so you will be satisfied even if you fail in UPSC, and if you are not passionate, even if you succeed, you will find one or the other frustrations here. So make sure that you will study with happiness, not with hard. So don't study hard, study happily. So do it. All the very best. Good luck, friends.